John Paul II called this great saint the apostle of a new Marian era. He was speaking about the great Saint Maximilian Kolbe. And Saint Maximilian Kolbe has so much to say to you and to me about living the Christian Marian life with courage and humility in the 21st century. Hello and welcome to Mcast. This is Dr. Mark Miravalle, Professor of Theology and Mariology at the Franciscan University of Steubenville. And I'm delighted, I'm honored to speak to you about the glories and the wisdom, the insight, and the sanctity of Saint Maximilian Kolbe. As many of you know, Saint Maximilian Kolbe was killed in Auschwitz, and some thought that that's what made him a saint, but in fact, he was a saint who gave his life for another, for a man who had a wife and children who was designated to be killed by the Nazis, but Saint Maximilian volunteered his life. What does Jesus say on the feast of the Last Supper in his treatment in John? No greater love is there than to give up one's life for one's friend. And so Saint Maximilian was a multifaceted Catholic Renaissance saint. He loved our mother with a passion. He loved his brother by showing in a giving up of his very life for a person he didn't even know. And the legacy and the spiritual wisdom of Saint Maximilian continues to our day. But it's up to us to tap his example and to tap his zeal for our Blessed Mother, for Jesus Christ, and for the upbuilding of the church. Because Saint Maximilian had a full view of his mission. His goal was to conquer the universe through Mary and to return the universe to Jesus Christ through consecration to the Immaculata, Saint Maximilian's favorite title for Our Lady. Well, from a child, Saint Maximilian, Raymond, his original name, was not canonization material from the first moment. In fact, he was known to be a rascal. At one moment, when he was being a rascal, his mother said, "Oh, Raymond, what will become of you?" And this led Raymond Kolbe to go to church at a young age. And while he was praying in church, he had a vision of Our Lady. And Our Lady offered to him two crowns, a white crown of purity and a red crown of martyrdom, offering in a gesture of saying, "Which would you like?" And Raymond said, "I choose both." And indeed, he would receive both those crowns during his earthly life in light of the sacrifices he was called to make to be true to the Immaculata. Well, a very important event happens in the life of Maximilian Kolbe during his days in Rome. In fact, he is a student studying in Rome, and he experiences in 1917 a tragic vision, but it was a real vision, a vision of something that was taking place actually in St. Peter's Square. It was an event of a great evil. It was a Freemason demonstration. And I want to say from the get-go, to understand St. Maximilian, my friends, yes, we have to understand our baptismal promises because he directs everything through Our Lady back to that. We have to understand his zeal for spreading faith on our Blessed Mother. He was a true evangelist. But thirdly, to understand St. Maximilian and his mission, you have to understand the evils of Freemasonry. And one of the greatest objectives to his Militia Immaculata was a direct, head-on spiritual battle against the evils of Freemasonry. So Maximilian is returning to his living quarters, and he sees this demonstration in St. Peter's. And there were chants, "Down with the Pope," "Down with the Church." And there was actually a banner of St. Michael having his head crushed by Satan. And I want to read to you the account of what St. Maximilian saw. This was many years later, in 1939, when he writes this. But this is what he is seeing taking place in St. Peter's Square in 1917. He says, and I quote, "In the years leading up to World War I, the Masonic clique, disapproved of on several occasions by the sovereign pontiffs, governed in Rome, the capital of Christianity, with even greater impudence. It did not even hesitate to brandish in the streets of the city during the festivities in honor of Giordano Bruno a black flag showing the Archangel St. Michael beneath the feet of Lucifer. Still less did they hesitate to brandish Masonic insignia beneath the windows of the Vatican. A reckless hand felt no repugnance in writing, 'Satan will rule in the Vatican.' and the Pope will serve him in the uniform of a Swiss guard, and other things of that kind. This mortal hatred for the Church of Jesus Christ and for his vicar was not just a prank on the part of deranged individuals, but a systematic action proceeding from the principle of Freemasonry. Destroy all religion, whatever it may be, especially the Catholic religion. St. Maximilian would also mention in another place, in the face of such attacks of the enemies of the Church of God, are we to remain inactive? Is that all we can do? Complain and cry? No. Every one of us has a holy obligation to personally hurl back the assaults of the foe. These men without God find themselves in a tragic situation. Such implacable hatred for the Church and the ambassadors of Christ on earth is not in the power of individual persons, but of a systematic activity stemming in the final analysis from Freemasonry. In particular, it aims to destroy the Catholic religion. Their deceits have been spread throughout the world in different disguises, but with the same goal: religious indifference and weakening of moral forces according to their basic principle. Quote, we will conquer the Catholic Church not by argumentation, but rather with moral corruption. End quote. My friends, this is a critical point for understanding Freemasonry. Freemasonry does not take the Church head on. It seeks to morally compromise the teachings, the dogmatic and doctrinal teachings of the Church, and in a very special way, the morality of the Church. And that continues to be the mentality and the method of Freemasonry. As we conclude our treatment on Freemasonry in our next segment, I'm going to read to you the 1983 document from the Congregation for the Doctrine of Faith, which tells us in no certain terms it is absolutely incompatible to be Catholic and to be a Freemason. In fact, Freemasonry is a religion of its own, and entry into Freemasonry demands, even at the first vow, that you place the Freemasonry lodge above anything else, including Christ, the Church, the family. That in itself is an oath that no Christian, and really no person of decency could take in placing a lodge above the basic premises of God and Church and family. So, from this demonstration which St. Maximilian sees in the piazza of San Pietro, in St. Peter's Square, and with a huge banner again of Lucifer crushing the head of St. Michael, he resolves to form the Militia Immaculata, the Army of the Immaculate. And once again, this army is to get souls back to the fold of Jesus Christ through total consecration to the Immaculate, to the Immaculata. A total consecration, that means we give our Blessed Mother everything that we are and that we do, all good, the value of all good actions, past, present, and future. And that becomes a means not just of spiritual growth, not just of sanctity, as if that weren't enough, but of a new Marian evangelization. And look, my friends, in the two great evangelizations in history, the first one with Jesus Christ, it starts with Mary. It starts with Mary's yes. She says yes, and we get church. She says yes, and we get apostles. She says yes, and we get a Savior that dies for us and gives us the graces which allow for the fullness of Catholic faith in the first century. And the second time is in the great evangelization of Latin America. Mary comes in the image of Our Lady of Guadalupe, and the second most numerous victory for the Church in terms of evangelization happens. So here again, during this time of a new evangelization, let's follow the wisdom of St. Maximilian. And we're going to talk about, again, more on what Freemasonry is and more on the remedy, because we do need a new Marian era, and he will be our guide. This is Mark Miravalle saying thanks for being with us at Mcast. Stay with us for more on St. Maximilian, the Apostle of a new Marian era.